Is the Ethereum price just become the most interesting it's been for months and months of boring crypto downside action? Guys, something very interesting has just played out on the Ethereum chart. We're also seeing it playing out in Bitcoin, and we're going to take a look at all of that in today's Ethereum update. Let's dive on into it, guys. But before we do, because the days of crypto are so gloomy right now and no one wants to watch YouTube, make sure you hit that thumbs up button so more people will watch my videos and make it worthwhile for me to make them. Thank you guys, appreciate that. What we can see right now is something very interesting. What we can see that's very interesting for Ethereum is that it was bound in this area for quite some time. And then lo and behold, we had a breakout towards the downside. Now, typically when you see a breakout like this from the zone, you would expect it to come back and see a continuation towards the downside. Most notably though, that never happened. And what that gives me a good indication of now is that that was probably a fake out. And the fake out has caused a lot of people to perhaps get burned. We then got into this very tight bunched up area and we've exploded towards the upside. Now, I do anticipate now that we're going to see a continuation, because it does tend to be that that is the case after we see a reversal coming from a fake out like this. If we jump into a 15-minute chart, we could well be seeing something happening today, in fact, because this is a very interesting pattern. Indeed, when you have the price moving in upwards direction, you can see that you're getting higher lows each time. And the reason for that is people are acting more bullish, because every time the price drops, people are worried they're not going to be able to get in down here, so they jump in a little bit higher. Eventually it pushes it up. And it doesn't always, but around 70% of the time, due to this action, we will likely get a continuation like that. So what we're really looking at is if Ethereum can break through about $3 higher than it is currently sat at, which would give us a rough price target up to $1,303. Obviously not massive from where we are right now. And then it brings us into this big, interesting looking gray zone. I know, it's not that interesting looking. But why it's interesting, guys, is because in this zone we get all the tops. And if we're getting into this area once more, then we run the risk of having a bounce towards the downside. Now, obviously, we need to zoom out and look a little bit clearer about what's going on the 4-hour chart, because the 4-hour tells us way more information than a 15-minute. Now you can see more of this interesting looking gray zone in all of its glory, right? We can see this area high, and then now we're starting to break into it. So if we do break into it again, then I think we're going to go a little bit deeper this time and potentially up towards this red line, which is around 13.49, which from current prices is a whopping 5%. Actually not too bad, bearing in mind what crypto has been doing or not doing over the last months of unexciting crypto charting. Now, what that really means for us is we are pretty much then at a last chance saloon of getting through this barrier. If we're unable to get through that barrier, and if I take a trend line and I draw across the top of here, lo and behold, look at where the top of this yellow pattern comes in with our little green circle. This could well end like this. But there are different scenarios that could play out. But this zone, the $1,347, is going to be the most eventful thing, or whatever we've seen for Ethereum in a very long time. And the reason for that is a lot of volume sits up here. What I mean by that is a lot of people who are thinking that the price might continue but don't want to get into a trade yet put in what's called a buy stop up here. And if the price breaks through, it hits a buy stop, buy stop, buy stop. And then eventually that's when you get those incredibly aggressive moves. On the flip side of things, if, however, we are unable to break through that, which, you know, pretty much as we look at it, fairly equal opportunity of either happening right now, who really knows, until we get to there nearer the point, we could see something like that. And I think if we get a sell-off like that, then it's going to see Ethereum heading down towards the sort of $900, maybe even lower. I could be wrong, go in and do your own research. But to give us the best bet about what we think is going to happen to the Ethereum price right now, we're going to look at two things. One being the Bitcoin chart, and the second one being the US dollar, because Ethereum is against the US dollar, as is Bitcoin. Jumping over to Bitcoin then, guys. Bitcoin, similar pattern to Ethereum, again, has just jumped up into this area of interest, a little yellow one this time. We can see now that we are starting to find a bit of resistance. I think we're going to break up a little bit higher into this and start testing to around 17.5, maybe even aggressively push up to $17,000 to $18,000. And if we are able to sustain a breakout beyond this point and hold it as support, then guys, in the shorter term, this is not necessarily the bottom completely of the bear market, but we could be seeing something like this unfolding. Now, a potential scenario that we have in store is if we draw a line across the top of here. Now, obviously, it depends on the amount of time, but it could be around here at $19,390, which would be around 12% for Bitcoin. That's pretty big if you look at the rest of the crypto market. Now, if Bitcoin is actually able to break beyond there and push up to here, then we're into a zone up here. And this for me would be pretty much cracking us out of a bear market. Now, I don't think we've been quite quiet enough in the bear market for long enough. Obviously, it's been boring, and I think it needs to get a bit more boring until we see a turnaround. But, you know, there's things happening, there's things going on that indicate to me that we could be ready. And last but not least, here we are with my old friend, the US dollar, guys. The US dollar goes up, Ethereum, Bitcoin go down. So when we've had all the big shove recently, you know, the dollar's been going up. Obviously, when the dollar came down, so did FTX. Didn't really kind of fit into that pattern so much. But now that most of the dust has settled from that, people are still licking their wounds. It's starting to like go back to where it was with regards to expected chart analysis. So we can see this area that we've had a bounce here. We're now bouncing again for the US dollar. So basically, if the US dollar bounces here, and you can see that it is forming up to maybe make a W pattern, then we're going to see Bitcoin, Ethereum take a dump earlier than anticipated. However, this key area for the US dollar is only a little bit above the next one. And I want you to remember that Ethereum and Bitcoin have only a little bit left to go to that next level. Could it be that the US dollar creeps down to this level, we see Bitcoin and Ethereum getting onto that next level, and then who knows? But if we see the US dollar continue further into these areas down here, then things are going to get a bit more interesting for crypto. Crypto will be basically hanging in the balance, waiting for the US dollar to fall. There's obviously a lot of other things in the market. The volume's low. There's no regulation yet, so the big money doesn't want in. Guys, the big money, the big whales, aren't necessarily from banks. And they're probably sat there right now, twiddling their thumbs, just deciding when they're going to pull the trigger on Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever it is. They're paying attention to it. They've got enough money to move markets. So it's all hanging in the balance. All we can do is react to the information as it comes. Making a price prediction is bearing in mind what happens after a certain event occurs, i.e. if we have a breakout to the upside, this is the likely prediction we can give. If we have a breakout to the downside, this is the likely prediction we can give. So guys, what I'm really paying attention for in the short term is this break here up to around $1,300. A break from there, I will anticipate that we're going to break the top through here and push into around the 1,344. Now, if you want to buy crypto for a long-term thing, think about it, guys. You're better off buying now than you are trying to buy at 1,344 in a panic buy situation. But that doesn't mean go and buy now. One, that's not financial advice. And two, have a plan. If you want to buy crypto, identify where you want to buy it, how long you want to hold it for, what you might want to sell it for. So for example, if I wanted to buy Ethereum right now for $1,282, I might say, well, I can hold this money for 2 years because I don't need to do anything with it for 2 years. And hopefully by then, Ethereum is going to be worth significantly more than $1,282. But if you want to make a bit of quick money in the next few weeks, then I think crypto is probably not the best way to do it, especially in this market. In bull markets, you might get lucky, but you also get burned half the time as well. Be cautious about trying to make quick money in crypto. Be cautious about trying to make quick money in anything, but particularly in crypto. Hope that's not too unfair. But you don't need to use all your money in order to make profits from the money you use. So you can take 10% of, say, a Bitcoin, and you can invest it into something like Fairdesk, and then you can bet with the whole price of a Bitcoin by using leverage. So for example, I can use 1% of a Bitcoin and use 100x leverage, and then I have the power of one Bitcoin moving up or down. Obviously there's risks involved with that, guys, but if you head across to Fairdesk, which is linked down below in the description, you can get up to a $600 bonus on your first deposit, as well as tons of other features. So if you want to go and try some risk-free trades using that bonus, and head over to that link down below in the description. There's also cool features like copy trading, where you can follow experienced traders who are already making massive profits while the markets are moving up and down. You can do that with a few clicks of a button. They also have a $600,000 giveaway for the World Cup right now, so make sure you don't miss out on that. So in summary, it's all hanging in the balance. I'm quite bullish in the short term for Ethereum. I see a push to $1,350. If you do as well, let me know down in the comments. Smash that like button if you haven't already, because you should have done. And if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe, and I will see you